Hi guys, today I would love to show you the Open Service Broker API in a demo, in an application. First of all, what is the Open Service Broker API? It's a open source project that it's basically the glue between your microservices landscape and your PaaS services. So excellent in an environment where, for example, in this demo, we have a Python application running on our managed Kubernetes cluster on Azure, and we would like to use the Redis cache on Azure. And how to do this with the Open Service Broker API. So these are the instructions how to install it. It's pretty clearly installed. Basically what you will do is you will create a service principal. This service principal is attached to your Open Service Broker, and with the Open Service Broker you can create resources on Azure. And when you bind them, you will actually create a secret in your Kubernetes cluster, and this secret you can use in your application to communicate to your service. So let's get to it, and I will show you how it works. So I'm cloning the repository. I'm using a demo which I've stolen from the Azure repository. It's the Azure Vote app. So I've cloned everything. I'm going to the Azure Vote app. Let me increase the font size. Then you will see I have a Docker file and I got the Azure Vote app. A little bit more about the Azure Vote app. It reads configurations like the vote value, which is something like dog and cat, and it reads it from the config file. But it also persists stuff in a Redis cache. And the Redis cache are environment variables which are not configured in the config file. Those we will get from the secret. So with the svcat command I can have the following things. I can have bindings, brokers, classes, and instances and plans. Plans are basically the SKUs of the class you are creating. A class is svcat get class. I've configured it for Azure classes. So these are currently all the Azure classes I can create. And if I want to use or create one of these classes, for example, my Redis cache class or instance, I would have to create an instance. And if my application wants to use this instance, I have to use the concept of a binding. So let's create an instance. With this command, I will provision something with the name Redis based on this class on Azure Redis cache. I'm using the basic plan, and I'm doing it in Western Europe and in my resource group data links. It's being created at the moment. So if I do svcat and get instance, you will see that it's now provisioning. It's ready. Took a couple of minutes. Depends, of course, on the speed of what's going on of the provisioning. But we see that we have now an instance running in Azure, and the service broker knows about it. Let us double check in the portal. Let me go here, portal.azure.com. So we got the resource group. I've chosen the data links resource group. Data links. I see a lot of resources, but I'm only interested in the Redis caches. And here I see that I have a new Redis cache. So now what I need to do is create a binding. So I do a svcat bind, and the instance name was Redis, so I do bind Redis, and I will call it Redis def. So here we see that we have created basically a secret in the default namespace, get secret, Redis def. And if I want to show what's in there, get secret Redis dev -o YAML. You see that I'm interested basically in the host and the password. This is all base64 encoded, so if I do an echo of this thing, base64 -d, I see that this is the host we're actually using, and my application is able to use it. So let's go to a temp folder now, and I'm going to clone the repository, and I'm doing this so you guys can experiment with it. Just do the steps that I'm doing. Git clone. I'm going to the folder and I'm going to Azure Votes. Here I already see that I have a Docker file. I can do a draft create Azure Votes. Then it would have created Azure Vote. It would have created, sorry, it would have created it would have created charts, templates. It would have created a deployment YAML, an ingress YAML, and a service YAML. I'm going to change the deployment because I want this deployment to use the secrets which are pointing to my Redis cache. So after the image, I will add two environment variables. When I go to the cube folder, I have put for you guys an example of two environment variables which I'm using, which I'm getting from the secret. I'm copying it. Going back to the deployments. This should all be indented properly. So the first environment variable I am referring to in my code is Redis. Just go to the main and look for OS environment in the code. And I showed you guys that with this command, what is in my secret. That I'm basically interested in get secret Redis dev. I'm interested in the keys host and I'm interested in the keys password. And the name of the secret is Redis dev, so I have to use that as well in this thing. So it's not my secret, it's Redis dev. This is the key host. This is Redis dev and password is correct. So the only thing I need to do now is do a draft up. Done. Get deploy. It's deployed. There are no ingress controllers yet, but I created in the cube folder an example for you guys as well. Ingress example. For me that's fine. You can edit the values if you like. Then I need to change the current service. Azure Votes Python. I can just now do q create -f ingress example, and I will see I've created an ingress controller. Let me go to the here we go, and we have the up and running, and it's using the Redis cache on Azure. So I hope you guys liked it. I think it's a beautiful open source API, and it's actually very useful in your microservices landscape. Have a nice day.